The MCU is on fire right now. Actually, most of Disney's on fire right now, but we talk about that pretty often. I know you're aware of it. But up until recently, superhero films soared. They shattered box office records. They were incredible and just overperformed anybody's imagination. And yet now, trouble is sitting on dismal Disney's doorstep. They're facing troubles of a magnitude never seen before. The crisis at Marvel is a tale of legal scandals, disastrous reshoots, and a supposed superhero fatigue that's sending shockwaves through the entertainment world. Well, I'm not shocked. You probably aren't either. But now, this is spoken about publicly, and it's covered by some very friendly trade magazines, especially in the recent Variety article. So, my friends, let's journey in to the Marvel collapse. Here we go. Let me just start off by saying right now the trades are even coming after Disney Marvel. It's obvious that there's been quite a departure from its former glory, but the Marvel Cinematic Universe finds itself mired in a quagmire of, well, crises. Crises? Grant's that right? Crises? Anyway, let's just say uncertainties. And Disney's superhero brand that has been a juggernaut that redefined the entertainment industry since, well, 2009, when they took over, they've come to a very strange crossroads. It probably is also on fire. They haven't had anything huge since 2019. But let's reset here, because that's important. All of these situations, everything that's happening right now, only exists on a backdrop of just a cumulative disappointment for the on-screen performances, the serious underperformance at the box office, or collapse if you prefer, the legal conundrums of, well, their manufactured superstar, and some very serious questions regarding its ambitious strategy to expand beyond the silver screen. And yes, I'm talking about Disney+. Marvel's facing a profound moment of reckoning. What's worse is everybody in the industry is starting to call it out, and there are very, very many specifics here. In fact, let's get to one of the worst things that can happen to a major franchise. I think it's fair to say that the epicenter of this turmoil is Jonathan Majors. I mean, he's the actor that was poised to steer the next generation of Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you want to call those phases, you certainly can, but Majors is now facing a trial, which we've covered here before, on DV charges. That's casting a long shadow on the future of Kang and well, anything with Kang in it. The character was supposed to be the anchor, and now probably not. Top Marvel executives normally convene in Palm Springs every year. They gather together, they have a sense of, strength that you can kind of feel from them. And this time, it wasn't that. There was a lot of angst, worry, concern. Major's legal predicament sent shockwaves through all of Marvel, and it was forcing the studio to figure out what they were going to do. They needed some alternate strategies. So they've considered, according to Variety, moving to a book adversary like Doctor Doom, which makes a lot of sense. The King storyline is just hanging out there as something that could happen, but unless there's major developments in the stuff that's going on there, I don't know that they want to dive too deeply into this. It'll be really hard to replace all of the Kangs that he supposedly represents. But even setting those complexities aside, the anticipation built around that character was minimal, because nobody knew who he was and nobody cared. And frankly, I believe Marvel, Disney, forgot how to create characters and build them up. But it gets worse because there's other areas in which they are failing at. We can talk about the Disney Plus shows. And this one is kind of strange because it's not just the trade publications that are going after Disney for this, it's also the investor publications as well. See, the Marvel machine decided to start pumping out a lot of content. It got to the point where there was just too much. There was too much to consume. Hundreds of hours of things that just sprang into existence. And they were basically burning people out on superheroes. Or at least that's what one Wall Street analyst says. Eric Handler covers Disney. That's what he does. And he said the more that you do, the tougher it is to maintain quality. Well, I think we've all been saying that. He continued, they tried experimenting and breaking in some new characters like Shang-Chi and the Eternals, but those didn't work. And with budgets as big as these, you need home runs. Well, yeah. I mean, we've been saying that here in our little sphere, but it's time that that message spread far and wide. And with the financial papers covering this, and the Hollywood trade papers covering this, well, maybe we'll get more eyeballs on it, maybe a greater understanding. Or maybe, just maybe, it took the Pandaverse to help out. And the fact that one studio was willing to go after another studio because they saw a weakness is very telling. Because Marvel's fall from grace, well, is going to be more than a little bit evident when you see Captain Marvel, the film that was neatly stacked between two incredibly successful films, and The Marvels, which is basically made up of a month of girl power movies, and 2 of them are Disney. The Marvels itself was actually plagued by, well, a whole lot of problems. Reshoots, some story rewrites, probably a lot of production hiccups in there. This movie cost well over $250 million. It's definitely going to underperform at the box office, and it's going to be far below any benchmarks that were set by previous MCU releases. And in even saying that is, well, that's significant, because it seems like the last several MCU releases have come in under the bar consistently. And simply to return to a conversation that we need to have about Disney Plus, let's focus on this. You had artificial support for that streaming service because of the global crisis and everything shutting down, which compelled Marvel and the other players in the Hollywood studios to churn out a bunch of streaming interconnected content, and Disney Plus was the biggest offender. It kind of laid the seeds for where we are now. It poisoned. You see, the glut of superhero content became overwhelming, and as I said before, you can only do that to people for so long. It also was straining the studio's capacity to produce something that people might be interested in following. And that overextension led to very convoluted narratives that left all the viewers puzzled. It's obvious that Marvel had a very ambitious plan here. It was to inundate the audiences with superhero stories throughout the entire year, either in theaters or on streaming platforms. Well, it seems that massively backfired, because the volume of content has diluted the brand's once unassailable quality. This overexertion also resulted in experimentation with some new characters that, well, in the books, nobody cared about. And all of those produced, well, very mediocre results, and that's being rather kind. They were expecting blockbuster hits. They didn't get them.
Amidst all this turmoil, Kevin Feige, the architect of the MCU, supposedly, which sounds like Gunn was really the one that was laying out the story that led into Endgame, but hey, my opinion. But anyway, Feige's gone out there and scrapped a ton of projects and gone after a complete rewrite on things, including the new Blade film, which is now projected to have an under $100 million budget, because that's all they're going to allow for, which makes a lot of sense, because I don't know how successful that's going to be. They also have things that they're stuck with, like Echo, but I don't know how they'd get out from underneath that. And they had a bunch of announced shows and films that I don't know that they can actually make. But when it comes to Blade specifically, the lead actor, Mahershala Ali, was really unhappy with the quality of those scripts. I think we're on our 3rd script now, and at least our 2nd or 3rd director. I know we've been through like 5 writers, so maybe it's even more scripts than I even can remember. But it held a lot of promise. I mean, this was a good idea. I mean, you should have brought Snipes back, but, you know, don't listen to me. The film's set for a 2025 release with, again, that $100 million budget, and I'm not 100% sure it's even going to get made. And of course, because of all that overreach we keep talking about with television content, the leadership is actually considering, believe it or not, bringing back the original Avengers team. You've probably heard that a few times, but this seems to be real. Even the characters that they killed off in other films, the characters that we all love and identify with, they're going to bring those back too. Strange. What's odd though is, despite this potential resurrection, the move comes with an incredibly high price tag, because all those actors are going to be even more expensive. And it's not going to sit well with the budgetary constraints that have been placed on all future films. Again, we return back to what's happening with majors. Why are you even pursuing that pathway anymore? The performance of Quantum Mania raised doubts about how he can draw an audience. He's not that well known. He was dropped by his publicist, his managers, his agents, and all the other DV victims that have cooperated with the Manhattan District Attorney's office. Well, he's gonna stand trial. It's coming up. And Disney pulled the plug on the release calendar for his Magazine Dreams film, which we've talked about before. And Marvel has a track record of recasting, and you can see Terrence Howard was replaced in Iron Man 2, and thus recasting majors might be an option, though it comes with its own set of challenges, especially after, well, he's been CGI'd all over the place in various different forms.
Marvel's future might rely on the vast superhero arsenal that was acquired through Disney's purchase in 2019 of 20th Century Fox, which they got the name because so.
But this would include X-Men and Fantastic Four, which it seems like that's an easy move. That's where you want to go. You have a chance to do something that gets that way pretty easy with Deadpool 3. From all the rumors we hear, it just might. It might also put an end to all this ridiculous multiverse nonsense. But if the leaks are true, and I'm pretty sure they are, Mr. H is very reliable when it comes to that, they're actually going to give us more multiverse by trapping Monica Rambeau on the other side of, well, another multiverse. Or verse, I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. The industry itself is watching. They're watching to see what Disney does. They're hoping Disney comes back. Some of them are cheering on the failure. But everybody wants to look at Feige's former success, record of success, whatever you want to call it, as some kind of a opportunity to return to glory, that things will definitely correct themselves. I'm just not that optimistic. You cannot rely on historical performance alone, just like you wouldn't do it in any kind of, well, investment. Can Marvel reclaim its position as a superhero powerhouse? Can Disney? I don't know. Is there an opportunity here for a rebirth? Will Daredevil be born again in a way that anybody cares? Pretty good questions, I think, and I'm very interested in your answers. So please let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you liked the video, especially, the extension, longer version, hit the like button for me, of course. And if you're not subscribed, please, this is the time to do so. I'm getting closer and closer to that 15K goal, and I'd like to get there by, let's say, the end of the year, the end of 2023. And if that's possible, fantastic. It'll definitely result in a celebration and, well, some goofy thing I'll probably do. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others. And until next time, see ya!